Welcome to the 2019 Governor's Arts and Humanities Awards. These awards, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We are going to celebrate some amazing people who are doing work that's so important throughout Alaska, but we're also going to celebrate the importance of the arts and humanities in the great state of Alaska. Please join me in thanking Luke Weld Ensemble for their music during the reception. My name is Cameron Perez-Verdia. I'm the president and CEO of the Alaska Humanities Forum. I'm originally from Utqiagvik, and it's a real honor to be in your beautiful, beautiful town. I'm pleased also to co-host this evening with Andrea Noble. She'll come up a little bit later. And tonight we're going to honor 9 Alaskans who have enriched our lives through the arts and humanities. Now, let's please stand and welcome Marian Call, who will lead us in singing the Alaska song, and she'll be accompanied by Laura Zahasky. Marian?
Stars of gold on a field of blue, Alaska's flag, may it mean to you the blue of the seas, the evening sky, the mountain lakes and the flowers nearby, the gold of the early side stream, the precious gold of the hills and streams, the brilliant stars in the northern sky, the bear, the dipper, and shining high, the great North Star with its steady light o'er land and sea, a beacon bright, Alaska's flag, to Alaskans dear, the simple flag of a last frontier.
Thank you. That was beautiful. You may be seated. I would now like to invite Walter Sobolov Jr. to the stage to invoke the blessing. Walter.
Thank you very much. Please bow your heads in prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, please be with us during this momentous Arts and Awards ceremony. In Christ's name we pray, Amen.
Thank you, Walter. Would now like to invite Kelly Chewbacca, former policy advisor to Governor Dunleavy, and now Commissioner of the Department of Administration, to the stage for some remarks. Commissioner?
Good evening. Well, that was awkward. I'm okay with awkward. Governor Dunleavy is sending his regrets for not being able to be with you tonight, but can I just say I am so delighted that he could not be with you, because I am very honored to get to be with you and get to honor you for the contributions that you make to all of Alaska and to the people of Alaska, including people like me. I grew up in Anchorage, and I was really badly bullied in school. You might not know that looking at me today, but when I was a kid, at a really young age, I developed a very hardened, resilient exterior. I became very reclusive in my personality. And in high school, my mom encouraged me to join a theater production at the Anchorage Community Theater's show of A Christmas Carol. Bob Pond actually directed that show. I believe that you honored him last year with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And so it was my first theater show. I had a little tiny part, but I actually started to come alive during that show. And I fell in love with theater, and I did production after production after production. I did the Anchorage Theater Youth. I did Cyrano's. I did 3 Barron's Fair. I became a little bit of a theater junkie. I then went on to start my own theater production company. I did some shows here in Alaska. I took them down to Texas, took them with me to law school, and then I started to branch into other forms of art. I took percussion at UAA. I ended up getting into acrylic painting in my adult years. And in fact, I would go on to say that in my life, art has helped me to embrace my story. It's helped me to heal. It's helped me to learn to love myself. It's helped me to learn to cross racial and socioeconomic and cultural divides that I would not have otherwise known. In fact, if I hadn't ever joined that Christmas Carol production, I probably would still be a hardened, reclusive personality, and I never would be the leader that I've grown up to be. I never would have learned to cross all of those bridges and cultural gaps that I've learned to cross. I never would be the person that I've become, and I never would have fought those bully narratives that became so ingrained in my mind at such a young age. That wouldn't have happened if people like you in this room hadn't done what you do. Because, see, I was just a little girl. And if the Bob Ponds of the world weren't doing what they were doing, there would have been no theater production for me to join. If the people like you in the room weren't doing the art that you're doing, there would have been no inspiration, no community, no life around me to bring me into a world of life and inspiration and healing and journey to bring me out of all the harm that I'd had. I believe that you make a lot possible for Alaska. For example, you help improve our economic and social and civic life. Creative industries like music, film, and cultural tourism are a vital part of our Alaskan economy. You promote and sustain other businesses like services and food and beverage, fashion, and higher education. You make our communities vibrant and attractive to new residents and new companies, leading to positive cultural and economic growth for Alaska. You're the reason why people want to live here, right? You know that you have a huge impact on the cities and the cultural conditions of those cities and where we want to be. You also help improve the self-reliance and health of rural Alaskan communities by connecting people to their cultures through arts and education and the ability to tell their stories. Just like I can tell you my story, you help our rural communities tell their stories. Through your arts-based economic development strategies, your work has helped to perpetuate and promote Alaska's native arts and cultural heritage. Tonight, we honored those who've contributed to telling the stories of Alaskans past, present, and future, and we celebrate those stories. Finally, you help people heal. The Arts and Humanities offer cost-effective treatments with proven outcomes for members of our military, our senior citizens, and our children. Art therapy is used successfully to require shorter hospitalizations, to reduce medications, and to recover from trauma successfully. And our future goal is to serve those rural children and communities affected by trauma through telehealth. We can use art therapy and technology to advance healing in ways that we have never been able to do before. That's being advanced through the efforts of local heroes right here in this room. We have a lot to celebrate tonight. Tonight, we're going to honor and recognize the contributions that you make to our economy, our rural development, our cultural heritage, and our health and well-being through the arts and humanities. I want to say a very special thanks to the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Alaska Humanities Forum, the Alaska Arts and Cultural Foundation, for bringing urban and rural cultural leaders together, for serving our military, our aging, and our youth populations, and for promoting arts and humanities in Alaska. We are a better state and a better people because of you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate the support and recognition of the valuable role that the arts and humanities play in connecting people in Alaska, enriching lives, and strengthening communities across our great state. And now I would like to welcome to the stage Moira Smith, Vice President of the Alaska Humanities Forum Board of Directors. Moira.
Good evening. It is my honor, as Cameron mentioned, to serve as the Vice Chair of the Alaska Humanities Forum. The Forum has been serving Alaskans for over 45 years by building stronger communities, whether it is by bridging the gaps between kids through programs like Take Wing and the Rose Cross-Cultural Exchange, or bringing together leaders to work together in programs like the Alaska Salmon Fellows and Leadership Anchorage. The Humanities Forum strives to spark creativity, to build community, and to bring people together to talk about what matters most. To tell you a little bit about the story of the Humanities Forum, please join me in watching this video, which will give you a sense as to the work we do today.
The world is so fast-paced now that there's not a lot of space to just sit and actually listen.
The problems that we face aren't simple. They're layered, they're nuanced.
We get into silos of people who think like us.
And that's what we often ignore. We try to solve problems in a technical way. We try to work around humans and tackle really complex issues. But at the heart of the issue and at the heart of the solution is people. One of the ways that we can build community is through stories. And at the Humanities Forum, what we do with those stories is we use them as our tool. The tool to connect people, a tool to bridge differences. If you really want to strengthen communities, you have to tackle relationships. We play the role of convening, creating that space.
A place where people and ideas could come together.
To talk about and work on the issues that are most important in our community.
Conversations that are actually thought-provoking and that matter.
Imagine if we could work through those things.
The value is bringing such diversity together.
We share values or views of the world.
If you step away from what you think you're supposed to say in a conversation,
you just can't help but have your ideas be influenced and informed by other people's ideas.
open up your mind, and that's how you really connect with people.
It opens us up to be interested in why people are the way they are.
Shared experiences create relationships, and those relationships are what solutions are built on.
And relationships aren't something short-term.
You cannot make community in a single quarter of a single year.
Our work is all about the long game.
I think that's really what's going to change our communities.
It sounds soft, but it's not.
It changes the path to what's possible.
It's the work that can actually change societies.
You start to think about future generations and what their experience is going to be.
We have the opportunity now to change history. We do, and I think we're going to do it.
Then let's have a conversation. What do we want to build?
I'd like to welcome to the stage Benjamin Brown, Chair of the Alaska State Council on the Arts. Ben?
Well, thank you all very much for being here at the Juneau Arts and Culture Center, the JAC as we call it, and for supporting the arts and humanities in Alaska. As Cameron said, I am the chairman of the Alaska State Council on the Arts, which is a great privilege and really a source of joy to me. It's been about 15 years that I've been with the State Council on the Arts, and over that time, we have, in conjunction with the Office of the Governor, really honored some truly amazing Alaskans, and it's a delight to be able to continue that tradition tonight. I should pause now and say we're honored to be here on the territorial lands of the Occoquan people in Gunalshish. And I want to thank Kelly Shibaka, the Commissioner of Administration, for that very personal sharing of your personal connection to the arts. That just so strongly underscores how the arts touch all of our lives. If you just stop and think about it, it's undeniably true for each and every one of us, and hopefully for everyone who's watching this on 360 North. ASCA is just grateful to have someone to work with like you, and we're glad you were able to be here on Governor Dunleavy's behalf tonight. We are housed administratively, ASCA, in the Department of Education, and I also want to recognize Deputy Commissioner Karen Moline, who's here tonight as well, and we're grateful to have her here. There are a few elected officials here, and this is going to be a little tough because some of them came and then they left. So right now, I believe Representative Christ Tompkins, Senator Tom Begich, Senator Scott Kawasaki, Representative Harriet Drummond, and President Richard Peterson, who's an elected official of the Tlingit-Haida Central Council of Indian Tribes of Alaska. Representative Garen Tarr was here, Sarah Vance was here, Ben Carpenter. If I missed anyone who's here, I apologize. Representative Sponholz is here, you were on my list, and now you're actually here. Things are very fluid in the legislature right now, so if you're gonna come in late, we welcome you, and if you already left, we're glad that you were here for a few moments. So I'm a lifelong Alaskan. I've been involved with and worked in the worlds of politics and government for most of my adult life. So I know, we all know, Alaska's facing some pretty significant challenges right now. And I am committed to ensuring that ASCA, as Alaska's state arts agency, does its part by remaining in existence to meet those challenges successfully. And so just very briefly, at ASCA, we have a diverse array of programs that address Alaskans' needs every single day. Our education programs integrate arts into our educational systems to improve student learning, reduce truancy and misbehavior, and maximize the efficient use of scarce resources as we bring up the next generations of Alaskans. ASCA's Silver Hand program, which authenticates Alaskan Native art by Alaskan Native artists, promotes vibrant, economically successful creative industries by Alaska's First Peoples, ensuring the continued strength and vitality of essential millennia-old cultural traditions and generating crucial economic activity, particularly in rural Alaska, where it's very sorely needed. ASCA's visual arts programs help make Alaska's public buildings and facilities attractive and functional, increasing their value and their usability, and creating work opportunities for the artists who provide public art pieces. ASCA's Contemporary Art Bank provides artistic opportunities to Alaskan artists and adorns the working spaces of public officials in all three branches of state government and our congressional delegation in our nation's capital. ASCA's grant programs distribute modest sums of money in a targeted way that provide crucial support to arts organizations and communities of all sizes across the last frontier. And those communities are able to enjoy more arts and cultural activities. Individual artists are guided as they begin their careers and grow steadily in competence and professionalism until they can become self-sustaining actors in the economy as professional artists. And another of our grant programs helps Alaska Native masters find apprentices and pass on artistic and traditional methods that are beneficial to the entire society. Our Creative Forces program, which Commissioner Shibaka mentioned, in conjunction with our allies at the National Endowment for the Arts, serves America's heroes, servicemen and servicewomen who suffer from traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder, which they incurred in the service of our nation, sacrificing greatly. And it is the most effective way to reintegrate those servicemen and women into their communities in a beneficial way that not only helps them, but their families and the places they used to work and the entire community around them. It's the right thing to do. Our Poetry Out Loud program, which we'll be having the finals coming up over at 360 North next month, has introduced thousands of young Alaskans to the literary arts, encouraged young people to learn about the art of poetry, and to master the self-discipline, focus, and self-control needed to recite a poem on stage. And we did have a winner of the national competition from West High School a few years ago, so I'm confident we'll repeat that success. Finally, ASCA's all-volunteer Education Advisory Committee has recently launched an online network called How Are You Creative? And so if you go to howareyoukreative.org, you can participate, learn, and exchange ideas and stories and resources about how the arts and culture are making your life better in Alaska and probably help somebody else find a new path forward. So that's only a partial list of ASCA's programs. But one characteristic all of those programs I've just gone through share is their partnerships. And our first partner is the state legislature, which annually invests in our budget, and that investment triggers matching dollars from the National Endowment for the Arts. Now, those two bits of money go on to lead to significant investment from our foundation partners. The most important and historical of which is the Rasmussen Foundation. I want to recognize Diane Kaplan, the president and CEO, and Chris Norris, one of her board members, and several staff. But without Rasmussen, we simply would not be who and what we are. But we are also very grateful to Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, the Siri Foundation, the Atwood Foundation, and we continue to look for new partners that have non-government money. So basically, less than a quarter of our budget comes from the state, less than half comes from any governmental source, and we have a multi-year plan to increase that leveraging effect, so we're bringing more and more private non-governmental dollars to put into public services that benefit all Alaskans. That's a value proposition I'm extremely proud of and extremely committed to and plan to maintain, and I hope you'll all support us in that effort this session. ASCA has a lot of friends in the business world as well. I want to thank ConocoPhillips for generously supporting this event for many years, and Michael Hurley from ConocoPhillips is here somewhere. Michael, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for Conoco's strong support of this event. We have other partners, including Sea Alaska Heritage Institute. Rosita Worrell is here, has been wonderful and great to work with. We get great work done with her. And we're always looking for new partners, basically. We want to be collaborative, and we want to maximize resources and eliminate redundancies and get good things done with the least minimal amount of resources we can. So we have a great evening in front of us. I'll stop proselytizing. I do want to take a quick moment and talk about the building that we're in. This is the old JAC, the old National Guard Armory. My job during the day, all the time, is as marketing development person here for the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. And one of our key objectives as a local arts agency is to replace this building with a new Juneau Arts and Culture Center. This building is beyond repair, and it is going to be replaced, and it's another collaborative effort. So it's also a public-private partnership, and if you go to newjack.org, you can learn more about it. You can call me up at any time at 586-ARTS, and I'll probably talk about it more than you would like. You can sign our statement of support on a clipboard out in the lobby. You can take a sticker or a button, all of the above, because we are going to get this thing done, and it's going to take support from all of us to make it happen. So with that, I want to thank all the board members and staff of ASCA, the Alaska Humanities Forum, and the Alaska Arts and Culture Foundation, and would ask if you would just stand ever so quickly so we could recognize you. And I'll close by thanking Marian and Luke and the other musicians for the beautiful music, Mr. Sobolov for the wonderful invocation, and our State Writer Laureate, Ernestine Hayes, who's going to wrap up the evening, I'm sure, in a memorable way. And also our friends from Studio A and KTOO for making sure we've got quality sound and we're sharing this with the widest array of Alaskans possible. With that, thank you very much, and God bless Alaska.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrea Noble, Executive Director of the State Council on the Arts, and it is my pleasure tonight to introduce our arts awardees. This remarkable event brings us together for a single shared purpose. Every year, this award ceremony affects us profoundly because of the accomplishments of Alaskans who have dedicated their lives to significant, challenging, and sometimes unpredictable careers. In our nation, it's essential those individuals who stride forward to build a cultural legacy are bestowed the highest honor and recognition government can offer. It's a small offering for what you do. Every year, the Alaska State Council on the Arts commissions an accomplished Alaska artist to create the awards. Mark Wedekind of Anchorage made the beautiful wood tree-form sculptures that awardees will receive tonight. As a very detailed-oriented person, he provided specific instructions to the awardees. So when you receive your awards, he said, you are supposed to touch these pieces. Please touch the art. Hold them and display them any way you like. They're yours. As we honor and recognize all of the awardees this evening, please note you will also find descriptions of their work in your program and online at akgovawards.org. Commissioner Chewbacca, I would like to invite you to join me on stage to present the awards. Our first award is for Arts Advocacy, presented to Shannon Haugland. This award recognizes a long-standing dedication to the arts through administrative, legislative, sometimes we've had legislators in the past awarded, and professional efforts that result in a significant and successful impact on the arts in Alaska. Shannon has created a movement with a capital M, a significant change in her community through focus and vision. Sitka has a thriving community theater and vibrant energy because of this extraordinary woman. Without her tireless volunteer work, countless individuals would never have experienced the joys of participating in high-quality theater as actors, playwrights, and production crews. Shannon has been instrumental in building bridges between organizations and community members by elevating everyone around her. She also writes about the arts with eloquence and respect and is always willing to do what is needed at the time for every theater production in Sitka. Shannon's generosity is a shining example of how one person can make a positive difference that leads to healthy transformation of a community. Shannon, I would like to invite you to the stage to honor you and your commitment to Alaskans. We are thankful you are here tonight to accept this award for arts advocacy. Please come.
To paraphrase a playwright friend of mine, no one ever complained that a play or a speech was too short. So here goes. Congratulations to my fellow award recipients, and thank you to the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Alaska Humanities Forum, Alaska Arts and Cultural Foundation, the Office of the Governor, and supporters of the arts. This award is a great honor. When I moved to Alaska from Seattle in 1990, I didn't realize that if my friends and I wanted to watch a play, we might just have to put it on ourselves. We would have to select the play, persuade a director, acquire the rights, raise the funds, find the props, bribe our friends into becoming set designers and carpenters, not to mention convincing total strangers to try out for a part, or put up the set, or loan out their precious antique for a play set in the 1930s. We didn't know that our desire to see an art house, foreign, or documentary film might entail a similar ritual. Finding the distributors, finding out what a distributor is, raising funds, designing posters, and promoting the show, or convincing other people to do it. This is the reality of living in Alaska, DIY. What I didn't expect was the number of communities that would be created around each of these endeavors, the number of new friendships that would be formed, and the countless conversations, all human connections that make life worth living, that would arise out of each play or film. The almost miraculous joy of working together to present a work of art to our community, the way theater brings people together, and most of all, young people exploring their identity and what they learned by working with other people to put on a show. It has been rewarding to experience that. I'm grateful to live in a community that supports the arts, that creates professional level opportunities for artists of all ages through such organizations as the Greater Sitka Arts Council, the Sitka Fine Arts Camp, the Sitka School District, Art Change, Inc., and the Sitka Summer Music Festival. I'm grateful to the professional artists, directors, and technicians who are so generous with their time and knowledge and have invited me to help on productions and mentor young people to perform some of the less glamorous but so satisfying work backstage. Thanks to my parents for never making me choose between arts and sports. Thanks to my employers and friends of the Daily Sitka Sentinel for their support of the arts and all my projects. Thank you to my friend and set designer, Rebecca Polson, for nominating me for this award, and to the professional and amateurs who wrote such amazing letters of support. Roger Schmidt, director of the Fine Arts Camp, Young Performers Theater director Zeke Blackwell, musical theater camp director W.T. McRae, my 8th grade stagehand, Rihanna Bergman, and my actor in all our plays, Brian Hullfish. As a news reporter and as someone who works mainly behind the scenes, I generally avoid recognition, but this time I'm truly honored to be noticed. On a final note, if you can tell me where I can find 3 identical IBM Selectric typewriters for a musical production of 9 to 5, give me a call. Thank you.
Our next award is the Alaska Native Arts Award, presented to Jack and John Hudson from the Annette Island School District. This award honors their outstanding efforts to perpetuate and promote Alaska Native arts and cultural heritage, efforts that have significantly improved the preservation, mastery, and mentorship of Alaska Native art and artists. The Native Art program at the Annette Island School District has advanced traditional Northwest Coast art for over 40 years. Both Jack and John are committed to guardianship of the traditional Tsimshian art form. It is rare to find 2 accomplished master carvers who also have the gift to teach. Their influence is clearly evident in the success of their students, who receive deep cultural knowledge and understanding and mentorship from this father and son team. I would like to share a particularly powerful statement by one of their nominators, David Nelson. David wrote, "The program has helped foster the growth of not only our people's understanding of art, but help foster the growth of song and dance. Without masks, rattles, drums, paddles, and crests, we would be just like everyone else. Our art makes us unique and sets us apart from the rest of the world." I would like to invite both Jack and John, the men who created a legacy program unlike any other in the state, to the stage to accept the Alaska Native Arts Award. We are grateful for your presence here tonight.
I need you close. Oh boy, that was quite an introduction, and I will say this: that is very humbling to even hear that. My father and I tonight would like to thank the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Alaska Humanities Forum, the Alaska Arts and Culture Foundation, and the Office of the Governor for this wonderful honor. I would also like to thank the Tlingit Nation tonight for letting us hang out in their territory. Thank you. Thanks also goes out to family, friends, honored guests, and supporters of the arts from all walks of life that are here tonight to celebrate the arts with us. It is with great humility and full hearts that my father and I accept this award tonight. The fact that this is a father and son award makes it extra special for us. Dad has asked tonight that I speak for both of us. That could have been a risky move on his part because he has no idea what I might say about him. It'll actually give me the opportunity to say some great things about him that he would never say about himself. He gave me a list of people to thank tonight. When you have a program like he started and that's been continuing for this long, it doesn't just happen by itself. There's many people involved to thank, and my dad would first like to thank a man from Tacoma, Washington named Harvey Kolonen. My dad met Harvey Kolonen back in 1965 when he was running a fish packer from Seattle to Ketchikan. And this man pulled out and was carving some native style carvings, and he had some interesting looking crooked knives. And my dad saw that, and he said to himself, that's something I must know. Harvey happily took my father under his wing and invited him to his house in Tacoma and taught him a little bit about the art of carving and how to make tools. My dad also wants to thank a superintendent named Dale Lunsford, who first hired my dad to the Annette Island School District back in the early 70s. He would also like to thank another superintendent, Larry Roshlow. Larry Roshlow saw so much value in what my father was doing there and how much knowledge he had that he made my father one of the very first recognized experts certified to teach in the state of Alaska with an actual Alaska certificate for teaching. He would also like to thank from Metlakatla Bonnie Scudero, who greatly helped him with this program in any way she possibly could, and also Arnold Booth from Metlakatla, who gave him lots of advice whenever it was needed. At one point, Harvey Kolonen told my father, if you really want to learn what's proper and what's going on, you need to seek out somebody named Bill Holm. And so Bill Holm allowed my father to audit his classes at the University of Washington for close to 9 years, and continues to this day to hold a very deep friendship with my father, where they openly discuss just about anything. He would also like to thank a man named Dwayne Pasco, who helped my dad go much deeper in the studying of traditional Tsimshian art, especially sculpture. And my father would also like to thank his late wife, Marian Hudson, who stood behind him in everything and was his main partner in crime throughout his life, and he loved her dearly. I want to give a brief history of what my dad did with our Native Art program in Metlakatla. When I took over 9 years ago, we had to move to a completely different building, and so I had to pack up 37 years worth of things that my dad had been compiling. And as I unpacked, not quite so organized, but unpacked 37 years, I started to understand the genius of what my dad did and how he had a passion to dig deep into the meanings, the techniques, and find out how to make such a complicated art form as Northwest Coast Northern Formline understandable, and how to figure out how to bring this back. He started out in a little small wooden building, and there wasn't a lot of money for the program, and so when there was supplies that needed to be purchased, a lot of times my father would just buy them out of his own pocket to support the program. He also divulged to me that about a week or so ago, that in that old wooden building, there was no bathroom, and that he felt bad for the students because the bathroom was a long ways away, and when we have 75-mile-an-hour winds blowing in southeast Alaska, like you've probably experienced here, some of the kids didn't want to have to make the long trek to the bathroom. So he found a private corner and set up a screen and cut a hole in the floor with a trap door so some of the kids could pee down the hole. You took a risk, Dad. That building has since been demolished. I don't know if the trap door had anything to do with it. Yeah. But what my dad started and did there was truly an act of love for this art, for the students, and for his passion for teaching. I have a list of my own of people that I need to thank that got me to where I am. And the list is in no particular order, except for probably the first one. I had the opportunity to speak to a world-famous philosopher a while back, and that philosopher looked suspiciously like my wife, Shannon, Hudson. She said, "Behind every good man, there's obviously a much greater woman." And in this circumstance, I will tell her that she's spot on. And Shannon, you are the granite pillar that holds up the foundation of my very existence, and I love you to the moon and back. I also need to thank my father, Jack Hudson, because I was a student going through his program. I had the opportunity to watch him teach. I had the opportunity to be taught. And at one moment in particular, it doesn't have to do with teaching. I had an art show coming up, and I phoned my father, and I was living in Portland at the time, and I said, "Hey, Dad, I'm getting ready for this art show, and there's about 35 tools I don't have that I could really use." And he said, "Well, which ones are they? What do they look like?" And I kind of explained to him, and about 2 weeks later, they all showed up express mail on my front doorstep, and I'm forever grateful for that. I'd like to thank the Annette Island School District School Board for supporting our program for 47 years. I would like to thank my building principal, Todd Lindsay, for 8 years of support, and he offers good advice for me. I'd like to thank the late Mardonna McKillips from the Legacy Gallery in Seattle, Washington, because without her supporting me and my art, I don't think I would have been able to be a full-time artist as a young man. I'd like to thank my best friend, Brian Atkinson, who's currently fighting cancer. He financially supported me to get to my first celebration a long time ago when I didn't have a lot of money. And I met some very influential people there and got to showcase my art at the juried art show. I'd like to thank Kevin Lewis from the Smithsonian for being instrumental in getting me back-to-back fellowships for Artist Leadership Program. I'd like to thank my mother, Cheryl Erb, who was a great supporter of Northwest Coast art. And when my father first got started, we don't know where she got the money, but she went out and bought him every book on the subject that she could. She did the same for myself. I'd like to thank the Quintana family from Portland, Oregon, for putting on an art show for my dad, myself, and all of our students, past, present, and alumni, that allowed them to showcase their work in a professional setting. I would like to thank Sealaska Heritage Institute for providing a youth juried art show that allows our students to take pride and put their best effort forward and showcase their artwork on a stage that wouldn't be there otherwise. I'd like to thank the Sealaska Corporation for donating wood to our program. Recently, they have a sawmill over on Prince of Wales Island, and they donated planks for us to create bentwood boxes and canoe paddles. I'd like to thank my sons, Ian and Eric. Eric has shown me how to be strong and to persevere through very, very difficult challenges. My son, Ian, has shown me what a quality young man looks like, and someday I want to grow up and be just like him. I'd like to thank the students and their families and my entire home community of Metlakatla. Their support is so strong for our Native Art program that it's more than just a class. It's become a rite of passage for our youth to learn about our very own culture and art. Our program is part of the public education system, and I hope that our elected officials can see the value in our public schools and continue to fund them so programs like ours and so many others don't become in jeopardy of disappearing. Our Native Art program has come a long way from the small wooden building with the trapdoor, and life was different back in the 70s. We now have a brand new CTE building that is state-of-the-art where our program is now housed. The Annette Island School District decided to name it the Jack Hudson CTE building. I get to go to work every day in a building named after my father. My dad is Wolf Clan, and as a wolf, his paw prints will forever be all over our Native Art program. My dad once warned me that my personal art production would decrease if I started to teach full time. I told him, no, it won't. It has a little bit. But what I've realized is that we now have a new art form. We are now creating and sculpting artists. And once again, we are humbled, and with full hearts, we thank you for this award. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for your families being here, too. Next is the Arts Education Award, presented to Nita Reardon. This award is for an individual or organization demonstrating a long-standing dedication and a significant impact on arts education in Alaska. Nita was raised in a traditional Yupik home in Kotlik and went to school in St. Mary's. As the eldest daughter of 12 brothers and sisters, her family environment is where she first learned to be a teacher. Her parents instilled in their children traditional ways of knowing with the expectation they would become educated in the ways of the bigger world. Nita is one of the first culture bearers to build a culturally responsive curriculum for new teachers. And that's pretty huge, Nita. She also designs and sews parkas and is skilled at traditional food gathering, storytelling, dance, and doll making. As an educator, language specialist, and artist, Nita has for decades shared her knowledge, expertise, joy with communities and young people across the state. Her ability to mentor in subtle, unassuming ways was greatly noted by her nominators. And those ways will be felt by teachers and students for many, many years to come. Nita, as I invite you to the stage to accept this Arts Education Award, please know how grateful we are for you, and we are delighted to honor you tonight. Please join us.
When you're a grandmother, you could do anything. Granddaughter here, Igvak named after my mother, has to come and hold my hand so I'll be calm. Qoyana Tsaknak. Qoyana Dotlu Tsali Tsaknakwani to the Governor's Arts and Humanities Awards, Office of the Governor, Alaska Humanities Forum, Alaska State Council on the Arts, Alaska Arts and Culture Foundation. Although I live in Homer, my life has been spent in the western part of Alaska, mainly Catholic, growing up with my grandmother until I was 6 years old to enter the Western school. St. Mary's was a boarding home school that I was fortunate enough to graduate in 1971, and St. Mary's produced many leaders. Bethel was a home to my children where I taught as an educator and also in Kotzebue. My work focuses on my own children first, and now my grandchildren. Our children and grandchildren are truly our future. I am humbled and honored for receiving this award. I accept this award on behalf of the students who love the arts. In her hand is a doll that she made herself when she was 6 years old, and Paula just turned 7 on the 4th of February. Every child in any type of art shows creativity and love for the arts. They expand their vision, and someday, like you and I, will be definitely artists. I want to thank Qoyana Tsaknak Tamak Tamasquida Bilingochtet, all the artists, including Ryan Conerario, who wrote a letter to me. My colleagues in the Alaska Arts Education Consortium, our director, Barbara Sword, and the board. All Alaska Native educators across the state, Yupit, Tupit, Tupich, Inupagat, Athabascans, Tlingit, Haidas, Simsian, Sukhbet, Unangantu, and you know who you are when you know where you came from, and those are all the languages that we held. I also want to include all school districts supporting the arts, and including, there's one person in here who really put me on this spot, and she was my director, Beverly Williams, long time ago, along with Pam Yancey, when we worked together as the art department for LKSD. That's where the life of art started, working with somebody awesome, very professional. I also want to include in each and every one here, congratulations to all of you. Qoyana Tsaknak to my granddaughter, Paula Igvak, for being here. She just arrived today. My husband, Michael, our daughter, Sarah Ayadangak, my 3 sons who could not be here, Stephen, Spencer, and Sterling, and also my Arctic cousin, Reggie and Linda Jewell, Qoyana, for coming and being with me. Doingun ritok, Koyana Biochti.
The next award is for Artistic Leadership, Distinction, and Merit. This year's Individual Artist Award is presented to John Van Zyle of Eagle River. Yesterday morning, I had the pleasure of visiting with John's wife, Jonna Van Zyle, an accomplished artist in her own right. She was kind enough to share with me many interesting stories that did not appear in John's nomination letters. However, the one thing I can share from our conversation, John is terrified of cockroaches. So instead of settling in Hawaii, where his twin brother lives and also works as an artist, John chose a northern journey. John immersed himself in the Alaska wilderness, and his work reflects his intimate knowledge of the Alaska landscape, the place we love. He finished the Iditarod twice in the 1970s when there wasn't Gore-Tex, and has raised descendants of famous dogs Togo and Balto. At every turn, John leverages his success to create opportunities for others in their quest as mushers, writers, students, and artists. John has dedicated his life to the North in every essence of his being. His artwork is highly accessible in books, as posters, flyers, and even fabric design. John is also a collector of Alaska art, a testament to his love for Alaska that is present in everything he does. John, we are honored that you and Jonna are here with us tonight, and I would like to invite you to the stage to accept the Individual Artist Award.
I'm gonna get you. No, someday I'll get you. Thank you for the Governor's Arts and Humanities Award Committee. Each of us on this stage has earned this honor through hard work, long hours, talent, stick-to-itiveness, each trying to fulfill a dream. I'd like to thank some of you who have nominated me and just plain helped me realize my dream. Leo Morgan, who instigated this whole thing, originally nominated me. As one of my book publishers and longtime, almost 40-year friend, thank you, Leo, for starting this ball rolling. Gina Latham of Raven Ink Printing, Susan and Mike Peters, Scanlon Gallery, thank you guys for this. Jan Nardone, Changing Tides, here in Juneau. Colleen Godrich, Annie Kales, here in Juneau. Gail and Walt Phillips. Rabbi and Esty Greenberg. Chris and Mardra J. Liz and Hugh Ashlock. Teresa Daly, Karen Soboleski. All contributed letters on our behalf. Of course, my wife, Jonna. Never mind. No. Jonna is probably the most kind-hearted, generous, tough lady I've ever met. Talented artist, highly artistically trained. She not only shared my passion for art, She helps me paint correctly. Thank you also to my mom, who started me off on this journey. Excuse me. Single artistic lady, married, but I hate that term, you know, single mom, but she was married. The old man took off. She raised twin boys by herself. Wasn't easy. Her dog kennels is where I got my love for working dogs. Excuse me. Her artistic talent is where I got my love and understanding of art. Mom told us that talent is a gift from God, and it is to be shared, and to not use it is a sin. I rarely use photos today in my art because of her simple lessons of young when we were little kids. My mom taught me. I never went to art school. I only paint what I know, but my own experiences. Alaska. I'm very fortunate that my view of Alaska's mystique travels well across the world. Others I need to thank are Vi Green, my first gallery in Anchorage 40-some years ago, Mill Pond Press, Voyager Art, Hadley House, my national publishers, art publishers, many large and small book publishers, Heidi Mueller, our European agent, Anna Fiskin of P&B Textiles in New York, Arctic Circle Enterprises, and a whole myriad of others who I haven't put down here. I'd like to thank them just to let me share my art with Alaska, just as Mom wanted. Through the nearly 50 years of my career, I've been fortunate to receive some awards. What makes this Governor's Award so important and so special to me is that it came from people in my hometown, Alaska. Thank you.
Our final Arts Award of the evening. The Lifetime Achievement Award represents decades of service to community and excellence in artistic achievement with a ripple effect that motivates others through sheer drive and determination. Over the years, we have noticed that these awardees have one thing in common. They all say the same thing. They say that they keep thinking about more projects, and their biggest worry is if they will have enough time to complete them. Tonight, we are honored to award Lifetime Achievement in the Arts to celebrate the work and legacy of Dot Barterson from Seward. I would like to read the words that Dot wrote in her annual letter before she learned about this award. This is what she wrote. On January 24th, I will be heading to Mexico to reunite with my brother, cousins, and friends, of which several will join me in nightly ukulele sessions on the balcony. I am old, but not worn out. I worry that I will die before finishing my projects, grouped in piles in my office and studio. And my problem is that I keep dreaming up more before finishing what I started. Before Dot left for Mexico, only hours before her flight departed, she and filmmaker Quentin Smith made a video for us. And this is just another example of how Dot doesn't waste a moment of her life. I'm sure she had her boarding pass in hand when she was making this. I'd like you to watch this video that was created for us.
I came to Alaska as a a 21-year-old bride. And I arrived in Juneau. My husband picked me up at the airport and we wound up at Juneau cold storage. And then I had to climb down a slimy ladder. Got down 26 feet and I stepped aboard this cannery tender that my husband was in charge of. But I knew I was home. It was absolutely wonderful. The person most influential in my art career has to be my husband. He was so supportive. He was the one who came up with the idea of building a 2-story gallery in the Seward Boat Harbor. And then he said, well, we need a studio for you to work in. So we took a section of the forest behind my house and built a 2-story studio. So that's where I work today. So what happens is that I'm working on 2 or 3 projects, and all of a sudden that spawns a new idea, and then I kind of lose track of the ones I was working on, and I go off in this new direction, and that's the story of my life. We're always on a quest for beauty in our lives, and so we take on too much, but we're never bored. Oh, in accepting this award, I think to myself how happy I am that art means so much to so many people. And I would like to dedicate this award to all those other artists out there who share my dilemma of having too many projects at the same time. And we also are influenced by Alaska's beauty. So to my other artists, go for it.
Dot's granddaughter, Linnea Hollingsworth, is here with us tonight to accept her award on her behalf. Linnea, I would like to welcome you to the stage and thank you for being here tonight.
When I think of the word art, I think about my grandmother, Dot. Most of you who know her by her beautiful watercolors and her work in the Seward Mural Society, or years she spent on the board of the Alaska State Council on the Arts. Perhaps you took a trip down to Seward and visited her art gallery, Butterson's studio in the Seward Boat Harbor. But for those of you who are lucky enough to know her personally, know that she embodies the word. She's a painter, an actor, a musician, a set designer, a songwriter, a teacher, a businesswoman, a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, daughter, wife, and friend to many. She creates art in every situation she's in. From beachcombing to hosting Japanese dignitaries, from ukulele Mondays to impromptu sing-alongs with random strangers. She embodies the word art. So it's only fitting that she receive an award entitled Lifetime Achievement in the Arts, because her life is art. I'm blessed to call her Alma, my grandmother, and Alaska is blessed to have her as an advocate for the arts. She is my mentor, my idol, and what I strive to be as an artist and as a woman. On her behalf, I say thank you.
Please join me again in congratulating our arts awardees, and thank you, Commissioner Shabaka.
I'd like to give my congratulations also to all of the Arts Awards. I would like to take a moment and invite Ms. Diane Kaplan to the stage. Diane, would you come to the stage for just a moment? These awards would not be possible without our sponsors, And please take a moment to look in your program to learn more about our sponsors. And we invited Diane to just speak a moment and share why the Rasmussen Foundation supports this event. Diane.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. We're very pleased at Rasmussen Foundation to have wonderful partnerships with both the State Arts Council and the Humanities Council. Most recently, our Magnetic North series of videos of Alaskans with the Humanities Forum, and with the State Arts Council for many years supporting virtually all of the education programs that they do. We really appreciate in particular the advocacy that both organizations do and really how they improve the quality of life for our state. That's our mission too, and we couldn't have two better partners to do it with. So thank you very much, and thanks for everyone here for your support.
Thanks, Diane. Well, let's welcome Marian Call back to the stage for performance. Marian.
Thank you. This is a little song for us from Pluto and its 5 moons and all the other things we tend to want to explain. It's nice of you to notice, but we don't. Correct your calculations, but we won't. Oh, we step 1, 2, and turn. We step 5, 6, and turn. You'll learn. Observe, you'll learn. Reprint the books. Reissue all the maps. Try drafting them in pencil next, perhaps. How lucky you could find more space inside your mind. Heaven's bigger than you figure every time. So if we're not what you first thought, if we're lighter, if we're lively, if we're lovely, it's for us and no one else. Let the horoscopes be humbled, let the charts be all redrawn. We name ourselves. With gazes locked, with faces all alight, we know our resonance and road right. You may call us friends or lovers, but do not claim you discovered us. We've been right here all night. Much older than your admiration of it. Unwind, refine, dissect, define us. It's fine, it's fine. We don't have to rise above it. We are. Feel how far. So if we're not what you first thought, if we're lighter, if we're lively, if we're lovely, it's for us and no one else. Let the horoscopes be humbled, let the charts hearts be all redrawn, we name ourselves.
Thank you, Marian. That was beautiful. All right. So now I would like to welcome Commissioner Chewbacca back onto the stage to help me give out some awards. And now I'm honored to introduce the Service to the Humanities Awards for this evening. These awards recognize Alaskans who have worked to connect people and strengthen communities across our state, whose efforts have contributed to telling the stories of our past, present, and future, and whose work has helped to build more culturally diverse, economically vibrant, and equitable Alaska, where people are engaged, informed, and connected. Our first award is in the category of education, and it's awarded to the Chugach Regional Resources Commission. Chugach Regional Resources Commission, CRRC, is a nonprofit intertribal consortia formed by 7 tribes in the Chugach region. The Commission protects the subsistence lifestyle through the development and implementation of natural resource management programs to ensure the conservation, sound economic development, and stewardship of natural resources in the traditional use areas. In 2016, CRRC initiated a traditional foods program to conduct a baseline assessment of food consumption and harvest patterns to develop wellness strategies in the face of a changing environment. The project brought to life the realization of the ways that connections and memories of traditional foods are intertwined with the stories of our lives. CRRC was able to bring the community together and provide a platform to engage, inform, and connect. Please join me in congratulating the Chugach Regional Resources Commission, represented by Bob Hendricks, Beth Pipkin, and Patty Schwallenberg. Please come to the stage.
Good evening. My name is Patty Schwallenberg. I'm the Executive Director of the Chugach Regional Resources Commission, also known as CIRC. With me are members of our Board of Directors, Bob Hendricks from the native village of Eyak, and Beth Pipkin, where did she go? Oh, there you are, from Chenega Bay. On behalf of CIRC and the people of our region, we'd like to thank the Alaska Humanities Forum and the Governor's Office for this distinguished award for the visual representation of the traditional subsistence foods of the Chugach region. This poster was developed from the hearts of the Chugach region people. It's important to me in this depiction of the foods that were so important to the people in the region, especially as we were talking earlier today, 30 years since the oil spill, the importance of the foods from the sea and from the land is depicted in this poster. So I feel that the importance of this is, I'm sorry, I lost my place. The importance of the poster goes beyond just this year. It reaches on to 7 generations. So we've recently begun working on food security issues in the face of our changing environment, and it is one of our priorities. The development of this poster allows us to identify important food sources while allowing us to capture indigenous knowledge and in the language of the Sukpiak people, Sukston. Our staff worked tirelessly along with the artist, Kenai Peninsula native Sharon Glasser, and Alutiiq speakers Sally and Sperry Ash from Nunwallik. This poster is now being proudly displayed in the offices of our member tribes, tribal organizations, and throughout the state. Also present with us tonight are two members of our staff, Jeff Hetrick, who's the director of our Luktik Pride Shellfish Hatchery, and Willow Hetrick Price, director of our environmental program, and the person who led the food security project. I'm very thankful to have this caliber of professionals working with us at the Chugach Regional Resources Commission. In addition to food security, we also manage the statewide subsistence harvest of migratory birds through the Alaska Migratory Bird Co-Management Council. We monitor ocean acidification levels in many parts of the state, conduct shellfish enhancement efforts, as well as work with climate change, marine mammals, fisheries, and wildlife. Thank you again for this honor. We are humbled to be included in such a talented group of awardees.
The next award is given in the category of leadership and is awarded to Lorelei Ivanoff of Unititlq. Lorelei's work strengthens communities by illustrating a side of rural Alaska too rarely seen in mainstream media. Her columns celebrate life in rural Alaska, illustrate the importance of deep connections to place, and remind us all of the power of stories and self-expression. Often Lorelei leads and strengthens with inspiration, writing of her family, her funny little dog, the food that she gathers and prepares, and her responses to challenges. But her work also calls directly for much needed awareness and change. Please join me in congratulating Lorelei Ivanoff.
It's easy to receive an award like this and think, I'm so special. But really what I am is privileged, and maybe not in the ways that you might think. I don't know. But I am privileged for growing up so close to my grandparents, eating fresh bread slathered with lard because my grandma couldn't afford butter. Getting wheelbarrow rides to the boat from my grandpa. So my grandma was a strong, no-nonsense woman. She was bigger than God. She seemed so anyway. Put the fear in you, too. But cutting beach greens with her or learning to sew a beaver hat with her, she was a storyteller. And she loved telling stories. I think a lot of what I do comes from her. One story she told was of my grandpa after he passed away. He was in the Army and befriended a gentleman named Bill Egan. And when Bill was campaigning, he stopped in Unititlq and before he even became governor, offered my grandpa a job in Juneau. And so walking around in Juneau today and yesterday, I was thinking of my grandpa and imagining him living here and just kind of not being able to see it at all. Because being a family man, my grandpa went to my grandma and told her of the job offer. And of course, she absolutely refused to move from Unititlq, which I'm so grateful for, because she's not the only one in the family unimpressed by politicians. Sorry, I know I'm in Juneau. But thanks to our family staying home in Unititlq, my siblings and I have been fortunate to grow up there. When growing up, we didn't go on vacation to Hawaii or Disneyland. We went upriver, or we went down the coast, always by boat. I remember camping one time and waking up to the humpies booyaking in the river. That means like we could hear them just jumping, and it was just the coolest sound to wake up to. I'm privileged to get the phone call from my brother every year. Can you be ready in half an hour? And excitedly getting our stuff together to go to the boat, to go seal hunting, boating around the ice floes, and looking for the orange face of the ugruk. Oh gosh, I'm privileged to have seen my daughter cut the blubber off her first seal, and seeing her share it with my dad's cousin Rose. Seeing Rose give her the biggest, gladdest hug. Okay. I received this award knowing that I have been so fortunate to live where I live. I've been raised the way I was. Many enjoy the simple privileges I've been fortunate with. I'm grateful for this recognition because it is so important for us to tell our own stories. My greatest hope is that the steps people like Ernestine Hayes has taken, people like Jackie Lambert, Brian Adams, individuals using their gifts to accurately reflect our lifestyles. When my husband brought me on our first date in Noatak, it was to a place called Mayurak. And a Mayurak is when, my friend Greta taught me this, a Mayurak is when you create a path that goes up a hill instead of going straight up, which can be difficult or dangerous. It takes a curve. I hope our steps as writers, photographers, podcasters, filmmakers creates a well-worn Mayurak for others. Take the photos, create the podcasts, make the movies. Thank you.
If you've never had a chance to give away awards, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Our third award is given in the category of community and is awarded to Beatty Trentina of Anchorage. Beatty Trentina spent 4 decades generating a profound sense of community in the most populous region of Alaska as the voice of KSKA. She joined the public radio station as a volunteer in February 1979, 6 months after it went on the air. By summer, she was a regular employee. By fall, she was a fixture in the public mind. Beatty held that special place for the next 39 years. She built the most listened to radio station in South Central Alaska, and in doing so, she permanently knitted together the community she served. She took listeners' needs and feedback to heart, often reaching out behind the scenes to learn not only who listened, but also why they were so passionate. Over the time Beatty served as program director, Anchorage became one of America's most diverse communities, and KSKA became a beacon of understanding and respect. Please join me in congratulating Beatty Trentina.
Thank you all so much for being here. I'd like to thank the Office of the Governor, the Alaska Humanities Forum, the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Alaska Arts and Culture Foundation, and sponsors of Arts and Humanities in Alaska, without which we could not do near what we are able to do without your support. I'd also like to thank Steve Lindbeck, who nominated me, and also to my new friends and fellow honorees, congratulations. Also, thank you to the community of Juneau for your kind hospitality. This is my second visit, and I love your community. To South Central Alaska, thank you for believing in and supporting KSKA and public broadcasting for over 40 years. And to my colleagues at Alaska Public Media, and to all of the public media stations throughout our state, thank you for your commitment to serve, connect, and inform us all. Thank you very much.
And finally, this year, we are pleased to present a Lifetime Achievement Award in the Humanities. The award goes to Maida Buckley of Fairbanks. To say that Maida Buckley has been a champion for civic education would be an understatement. During her 25-year career as a high school teacher, Maida also worked with prospective social studies teachers in the teaching program at University of Alaska Fairbanks, and served as coordinator of the Youth Vote, National History Day, and We the People programs. Each of these programs serve to combat apathy and promote the responsibilities that citizens must fulfill in order to maintain the health and well-being of their local community, state, and nation. Recently retired, Maida leaves behind a legacy of civic commitment. All three programs continue under new leadership that she helped to recruit and ensure the program's future success and longevity. Many former students, including numerous social studies teachers in Alaska, cite Maida as a true inspiration. Please welcome Maida Buckley.
Good evening, honored guests. As the last honoree to speak, I stand in awe of tonight's amazing group of individual awardees. Similar to when I first learned of my selection to this list, I am speechless, a true rarity for me. But at least I have this text to help me share my gratitude and thoughts on being selected as a award recipient. Upon hearing I was selected for this Lifetime Achievement Award, I felt like I had just been given the world's largest gold star. For those of you who know me, and those who don't, since my early elementary days, gold stars have signified effort and excellence. Following those early days, my involvement as a teacher and event organizer have taught me to recognize that my success is a direct result of the hard work and dedication of many others. That said, my sons, Brendan, who flew here from New York, and my son, Danny, will help honor some of the contributors by presenting them with gold stars I have created. I present this first gold star to our host, the Alaska Humanities Forum. Their vision of recognizing and celebrating deserving Alaskans brings us together for the Governor's Awards. This celebration started 50 years ago, and this year, you, the Humanities Forum, gave voice to my colleagues who, unbeknown to me, initiated the process resulting in my recognition. I am especially touched and surprised since I often feel like I'm nagging them with my constant emails and requests. Next, the introduction noted as key to my award is work with Kids Voting, National History Day, and We the People. Each of these nonprofit organizations is dedicated to teaching students the knowledge, skills, and dispositions necessary for effective citizenship. Rightfully, those kudos belong to those organizations and the governing boards whose goals center on fulfilling this mission. If my star has shone over time, its brilliance reflects these organizations and their capable individuals. In this light, I would like to recognize Chad Hutchinson for his service on the Kids Voting Board and his support that has allowed this program to shine. In similar fashion, the We the People program, founded more than 50 years ago, offers a K-12 curriculum with its most outstanding feature being a national tiered competition where students testify before a panel of judges in a mock congressional hearing. The finals are held in congressional hearing rooms on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Here again, it's the program that deserves the accolades. And at this point, I must recognize Senator Kawasaki, who began as a judge at our state competition, but then earned not only the honor of being one of the esteemed judges at the top 10 at the national competition. Thank you, Scott, for allowing my star to shine. Similarly, National History Day is another national program with the mission of providing students with the research and analytical skills that allows them to see the role that past history has played in our lives. 20 years ago, Dr. Terrence Cole approached me about implementing this program in my classroom. And if he were present, I would definitely be presenting him with my gold star, as he certainly helped develop and illuminate this popular program. However, I am equally glad to give the next star to the Alaska Humanities Forum's Amanda Dale, and we'll give this to you, who now coordinates Alaska's statewide program and who has been a bright beacon in the field of education. Oh, you gave it to him already. Thanks. Oh, that's my son. Though the above-mentioned 3 programs provided the framework, the brightest stars, and will forever remain the students I have worked with. Fortunately, I learned early in my career that students must be actively engaged to maximize learning. All 3 programs did this, and I'm delighted to cite Representative Hopkins as an example. If queried, I'm certain he would be more than willing to share his many stories from our time together in AP US History and AP Government at West Valley, especially the competitive simulation that entailed the elements of running for president. I'm not sure if this is forewarning or foreshadowing. In any case, thank you, Grier, for showing me how to be an effective teacher and allowing my star to shine. Last, on a personal level, if my star shines now, I must acknowledge my family, especially my husband, who recognized my worth before I did, and without whom I would have not have started and developed my passion and mission to be an educator dedicated to students' civic awareness. He has been a mentor, colleague, chief editor, and the founding member of my Teaching Hall of Fame. In closing, it was these programs that defined my mission as a social studies teacher, the responsibility to teach democracy. With new clarity, I understood those words of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Our natural rights may be inherent, but ideas need to be taught. Education is the necessary component that enables our democratic system to work. But democracy is not an intellectual exercise. Rather, it is a system that demands participation. Thus, my largest and most enduring gold star must go to our founding fathers for the creation of our democratic republic, which serves as a shining star, not just for us, but as a beacon of light for the entire world. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Beta. And can we have one more round of applause for all of the evening's honorees? I also understand we have a few past award winners of the both Arts and Humanities Awards. Would past award winners, would you mind standing up, please, and receiving a round of applause? Thank you for being here. Well, next, I'm going to call Marian back up on stage, and we have some special guests that I'll tell you about after they're done, but this is going to be pretty special. Marian?
Stars of gold on a field of blue. Look up, behold, may it mean to you how small we are, how bright we shine. People unafraid of what all the world is made of. We find bright, bright nights for our dark days. Oh, we trade bright, bright nights for our dark, dark days.
The great North Star, the beacon bright. How lucky we are to live in that light. So high we flow, so out our heart. An honor to belong here, to try to find our song here. We got bright, bright lights for our dark, dark days. Bright, bright lights for our dark, dark days.
Though we're Northwest, we still rep the Southeast. Sit back and I will tell y'all something about me. I'm not smoking cannabis, this is just some salmon meat. You misunderstanding me, I do this one for family. It's second nature, we got a mention Hall Glacier. It's gonna captivate you, so you know this record major. Became the native gangster youth, thanks to you. Ain't no bridge to fool, this is Juneau. Ain't no Haugland, who need the Kodiak? I follow my zodiac. We can feel the spirit, so come here and bring my homie back. These bars I wrote 'em to represent the totem. We moving and canoeing to the beat of our own drum. I the last cotilla, I write with my cojita. Turn on the lights, I dash like gun, wait, Zina. As long as you honor all of us, you're not a failure. Always wearing your local native clothing regalia. I pick those blueberries. I love my mom.
I love my mom, hey.
I smoke a fat pound of salmon. It's a Hanaquan. Hey, I pick those blueberries. I love my mom, everybody does. I smoke a fat pound of salmon. It's a Hanaquan.
To be the mountain's guest, to be flattened by the wind and bitten by the frost. Oh, to live in awe of all the things we cannot tame. Awake with widened eyes for the promise of the circling skies. Bright, bright lights.
As bright as can be.
For our dark, dark days.
Keep shining.
Bright, bright light.
A bright light into a
For our
twilight.
dark, dark days.
Let it shine bright. Let it shine bright.
Bright, bright night.
Bright lights, bright lights, bright lights.
Dark, dark days. Oh,
about that? So obviously, Marian Call, thank you so much. And we want to give a few more thanks. Thank you to Clay Good on drums, Luke Weld on piano, singer Jocelyn Miles, and also Arius Hoyle and Chris Talley, who you just saw. Can you give them another round of applause? And we wanted to make sure to point out that this work you just saw was a collaborative effort by several people as a part of the Clinton enrichment program for the summer program. And now it's my honor to invite a very special person up to share some closing words. State Writer Laureate Ernestine Hayes will come up and share some closing thoughts for us. Ernestine?
Higher education changed my life. When it changed my life, it changed my generations. Arts and humanities changed my life. When you change the life of one person, you change that person's generations. When you change Alaska's generations, you change Alaska's future. Thank you to the Occoquan people upon whose precious land we stand, and whose beautiful land my family has loved and called home for 7 counted generations. 4 generations are here with me tonight. Gunalchish Occoquan, Gunalchish. Thank you to the Alaska State Council on the Arts, the Alaska Humanities Forum, the Governor's Office, and the Alaska Arts and Culture Foundation for the opportunity to join in this meaningful celebration, Gunalchish. It is my honor to acknowledge elders in attendance. Thank you for your presence tonight. Congratulations to the honorees of tonight's ceremony. I am grateful that we stand here together to form this rich, caring community, and I am humbled to share this experience with you. Gunalchish. Thank you, Dr. Spaka, for your presence as the governor's representative and for your strong commitment to education, art, and humanities. Gunalchish. I recognize my Gunalchish grandparents. I recognize my Kagwantan clanmates. I recognize my Yanwasha sisters. Gunalchish. Gunalchish Gunakte di ka sladikat yes naksati Gunalchish chukane di kas shanguke di sladikat chak naksati I recognize my precious daughter Giovanna, who is to be adopted into my grandfather's clan by Gunahweti Marsha Hotch. I recognize my precious Kagwantan granddaughter Kakwe Kirsten, and my precious Kagwantan great-granddaughter Layla, and my son Joshua Kawani Ish, and my son Robert Yakwan, who are all here with me tonight. Gunalchish all Alaskans who stand together for arts, humanities, education, who stand for a healthy America, for peace, freedoms, and human rights, for veterans, homeless, hungry, and disenfranchised, who stand here tonight to protect this beautiful earth that we love and are honored to call our home. Gunalchish all Alaskans who stand for our brothers and sisters who come to our borders seeking a better life. We are all Alaskans together. We are all Alaskans standing together. I was born in the territory of Alaska at the end of the Second World War. For the first few years of my life, I lived with my grandmother in the Juneau Indian village while my mother was in and out of the hospital for tuberculosis. My grandmother stood with me then to protect generations, just as she stands here with me tonight. A few years after my mother came home missing half a lung, we moved to California, where I stayed for 25 long years. I never came home, not one time, but not a day went by that I didn't long for home. Finally, when I turned 40, I said, let me go home or let me die with my thoughts facing north. It took me 8 months to get from San Francisco to Ketchikan. I was broke, homeless. My children were grown or living with their father. I slept in shelters, lived in my car, and stood in food lines. When I got to Ketchikan, I camped out from May to October, standing in the Salvation Army food line 5 days a week and fishing off the city docks on weekends. Then I found a job, found a place to stay, sent for my mother, sent for my sons, and 2 years later we made it all the way back home to Juneau, and I know I love it more than if I'd never left. My family stood with me then, just as they stand here with me tonight. I had never finished high school. I quit before I even completed the 10th grade, but I'd always said maybe one of these days I'll go to college. And so just as when I turned 40, I said, let me go home. When I turned 50, I said, let me go to college. I worked for years to earn a terminal degree in creative writing, and then I began teaching. This year, I finished my first academic year as a full professor at the University of Alaska Southeast, where my education began. Gonna teach. My family, my colleagues, and my professors stood with me on my journey, just as they stand here with me tonight. We are all standing together to protect Alaska's generations and Alaska's future. These last 2 years serving as Alaska Writer Laureate has offered me the opportunity to meet Alaskans, to hear their stories, and to be encouraged and uplifted in the knowledge that none of us stands alone. Like my grandmother, we all stand together to protect Alaska's generations, Alaska's futures, and the beautiful earth we love and are honored to call our home. Like my family, we stand together. Like my colleagues at the University of Alaska, we stand together to protect Alaska's future. We are all standing together. We will not be divided. We face uncertain challenges, but challenges will not diminish our determination to protect Alaska's generations and Alaska's future. We are standing together to love this beautiful earth. We are standing together to protect Alaska's generations. We are standing together to protect Alaska's future. We are all standing together tonight and in the future. Gunachich. Thank you.
Ernestine, thank you for your words that are so inspiring and timeless. With appreciation, your dedication, and gifts of courage and hope, we would like to present you. Where is it? Where is it? All right. We would like to present you with this ceramic artwork by Ed Mile. Ed's artwork is loved by many. Ed chose a career as an artist following his success as an engineer. The clay is from Cook Inlet, its special recipe that Ed developed himself for the purpose of expressing his connection to his culture and his ancestors. And we honor you with it tonight. Congratulations, Ernestine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2019 Governor's Arts and Humanities Award. We thank you so much for coming this evening. Before we close, I want to give a few additional thank yous. Thank you to Nancy and Rachel and the staff and the volunteers here at the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. We're so grateful for your support. Can we give them a round of applause, please? And again, to all the awardees, and Commissioner Chewbacca, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.